being here. Take care.
Welcome to our jazz band concert. Yes, it's good to see you all. We have a great show for you tonight. We are going to start out with a song written by Billy Strayhorn. We're going to be doing the first two songs we're doing tonight as our group are going to have a Pittsburgh connection. Billy Strayhorn was born in Dayton, Ohio, but very intelligently, his parents left Ohio very quickly and moved their way to the homeward section of Pittsburgh. And he went to Westinghouse High School back in the day when there was this really legendary music teacher there named Carl McVicker. And Carl taught not only Billy Strayhorn, he also taught Errol Garner and Mary Lou Williams and a bunch of other great legendary players back in the day. And back in 1933, Strayhorn met Duke Ellington when he was coming to play in Pittsburgh, and met him again in 1938. And Strayhorn at that point was playing piano and had written some arrangements, rearranged some of Duke Ellington's songs. And he did such a great job that Duke Ellington was totally impressed. Had Strayhorn play them for the band, and then hired Strayhorn as an arranger and a composer and an itinerant piano player for the band for the next 25 years. So this was one of Billy Strayhorn's most famous songs, and almost all Pittsburgh jazz musicians know this song. It's called Take the A Train. It's going to feature Bells Patrick on a short alto solo. It's going to feature Oliver Davies on a trumpet solo. He used to be saying that. And also Paxton Morale on drum set. And our own Duke Ellingtons over there. We've got Emmett Sauter and we've got Kurt Magley Langberg on the big piano solos, tickling the ivories over there. So here's Take the A Train. special guests. Our wonderful new high school band director, Mr. Brett McCutcheon, has brought the high school, there he is, somewhere over there. He looks just like the kids. It's hard to tell which one is which over there. But he's brought high school, what do you guys call yourselves? Jazz combo. I thought you had a cool name, like the Smoking Devils or something. I don't know, nothing that cool. We'll go with that. All right, anyway, some of these are some former JMS jazz band alumni that I recognize over there. And they're going to play, what are you guys going to play for us? All of Me. So it's a nice swing standard. Where are you going with that double bass, my friend? It's not time for that yet. They're going to play first. Wait, take it for a walk. Yeah, look, it's a walking bass line. I'm full of this kind of humor, people. All right. So let's enjoy the jazz combo. so if you guys would just bring those back there. Very nice job. Great solos and everything. Oh man. We got some good jazz to look forward to as these kids grow up and go to high school. That's great. And by the way, Mr. McCutcheon's main instrument is not necessarily drum set, but when you teach high school band, sometimes your drum set player gets sick on the day of the concert, and so he's pinch hitting, I guess, or pinching. I'm sorry, my husband's looking over me just shaking his head. I did play softball. He's pinch hitting on drum set. Okay, speaking of Pittsburgh connections, the next song we'll play also has a Pittsburgh connection, and it's Henry Mancini is the Pittsburgh connection for the next song. And again, I know this is kind of a theme, right? Henry Mancini was born in Cleveland. You'll notice the last guy was born in Dayton, and Henry's born in Cleveland, but his family moved to West Aliquippa. So both families came to their senses and left Ohio and came here. I'm only saying this because I went to a college in Ohio, so I know what it's like. Anyway, they moved to West Aliquippa, and Henry Mancini took up the piccolo first and the flute. Yes, he was a flutist at the age of 8, and then piano and composition at the age of 12. And little known fact, a good friend of mine was also the band director at Aliquippa High School many years ago, and found some of his old arrangements just stuffed in a drawer, like way in the back of a drawer, when he was in high school. So he was really arranging and writing a long time. He's written hundreds and hundreds of movies, scores, albums, things like that. One of his most famous ones, of course, was the Pink Panther. And we have a really cool arrangement right now. And this arrangement is called the Pink Panther Mambo. So it's going to go between, and this is a lot of work for Sonny Dunlap, by the way, who's doing an incredible job over there on the drum set, who also, by the way, plays trumpet as well. So we really have a lot of talent in this drum, in this whole band, there's a lot of talent. But I got to give Sonny some big props for this, because Sonny's going to seamlessly transition from mambo to swing and back and forth, and it does a really wonderful job on that. We're also going to hear from Atticus Feminari on a baritone saxophone solo, which you don't hear very often, so that's going to be really cool. And then Oliver again. Okay, so it's not that I favor Oliver, it's just that I keep saying, trumpets, who wants to try out? Or who learned the trumpet solo? And Oliver's hand goes up and everybody else goes, so it's going to be Oliver again. So, and that's fun. I mean, it's a treat, right? So here we go with Henry Mancini's Pink Panther with a mambo style. of course, being brand new to the district, his real instrument here happens to be the alto saxophone and the tenor saxophone and all the different saxophones. He chose well as a child. We will say that much about him. So that is awesome. You good? So, yeah, you almost ready there, Mr. McCutcheon, you think? You're good? Okay, you guys all good? Okay. So we're gonna slow it down, I think, a little for our next tune. Wait! Okay, let me explain. Okay, so Friday, I get this email. Maybe it was Thursday? It was Friday, yeah. Friday, I get this email from one of the three of these guys going, so we want to do Caravan. Do you think we could add Caravan to the concert? I think it might have been Thursday. I was like, guys, the concert's on Monday. No, you don't understand. And so, all right, these guys have been obsessed with the movie Whiplash for forever, okay? Now, I gotta tell you, I do not identify with this movie at all, okay? And it's A, it's too much like work, and B, the band director there is not a good example. But anyway, so apparently this is part of a scene from Whiplash, of which I have not seen, but apparently the band director is mean, and then they interrupt his speech where he says, we're gonna slow it down, and then they play that exact thing. So, for those of you not in the know, apparently that was really cool, because it was exactly like the scene. But it was also really cool, because they learned it on their own this weekend, and that was Duke Ellington's Caravan. So there you go. We're really not going to slow it down. I totally lied. We are going to play Groove Merchant, one of my favorite tunes, actually. It's a gospel groove, written originally by Jerome Richards. The best-known arrangement of it is by Thad Jones and Mel Lewis. And it doesn't have a connection to Buffalo. It has a slight connection to me, because Mel Lewis is from Buffalo, New York, and so am I. So there you go. But he's like way older than I was. But at any rate, this was a very cool gospel funk thing. This is going to feature the great Felix Koch on drum set. I'm surprisingly going to also feature Oliver again at some point or another. I know you're shocked by that. And Luca, also, who just played bass on Caravan, on a really rockin' trombone solo as well. So I hope you really enjoy Groove Merchant. And it's also going to feature our guest artist. Well, not feature, but not at all. But we are grateful for our guest artist. We're going to include our guest artist, Mr. McCutcheon, on alto. He's going to sit in with the band because everybody who plays alto loves Groove Merchant. Here we go. to the last song of the jazz band concert. Yes! And it's the coolest song of all songs. And it has not got a Pittsburgh connection, but it does have a Pennsylvania connection, sort of, right? Wouldn't you guys say? Because it's Gonna Fly Now, the theme from Rocky. And I have to end this because I have to say, of course, as you all know, I am retiring. And, and I don't like talking about it too much. But if I'm going to end my career with any song, with any group of kids, this is the one to do it with, because this is just like the greatest little jazz band, I'm lying, the greatest big jazz band I could have ever asked for. And thank you all parents for being so flexible with all the craziness that's been going on this spring. And thank you kids for working so hard. This music is no joke. It's not easy music, and they have really taken it seriously, and they have really done a great job. And I am so, so proud of them and so honored to have been their teacher all this time, and so glad that this is my last jazz band group of my 37-year career, because it's a doozy of a group, and I'm just so proud of them all. So thank you all for coming here tonight, and thank you for all your support.